Good morning, everyone. Cody Turner with Presidium Group Solutions. Recently, we released a video that pertained to an update in the Jessica Page Kemp case. Part of that video was focused around attempting to find out if the Greene County Sheriff's Office has an active criminal investigation into her case. Par for the course, we still don't have an answer. Her mother has not been communicated with, neither has anyone else from the family. So today, instead of a case update specifically, I'm going to read you an email that was obtained prior to the recovery of Miss Jessica Page Kemp. This email is from Sheriff Brad Snyder and his agency's official email address. Ms. Kemp, regarding Page's car and belongings, access will not be granted as this interrupts the chain of custody of said items. Should anything criminal come of this, those items need to be kept in monitored custody. As I stated to you at my office when we met, I subscribe to the adage that you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. I was very clear that I would not tolerate the belittling of my employees, especially knowing how much time, effort, and energy they have put into seeking Page's whereabouts. The behavior displayed by your family yesterday were not appropriate. I believe Mr. Rayburn felt the same way, as he felt compelled to come to us and apologize. After the barrage of insults and accusations directed at my employees yesterday, I was not going to allow them to be further disrespected upon our departure with providing you with an update. Your call to the open quotation marks FBI close quotation marks did not get us out there with those cadaver dogs. We placed that call on May 19th. This was their first opportunity to get to us, as they had previous searches in other states already scheduled. Also, as an aside, we have not been contacted by the FBI regarding this matter. Ms. Kemp, I told you that I completely understand your strong feelings for your daughter. I'm a parent as well. However, understand that belittling us both in person and on social media is counterproductive on both sides of the equation. From the beginning, there has been no sign of foul play at the campsite or anywhere else that we have found thus far. Your daughter is 32 years old, has a history of being out of contact with her family for long periods of time, and has lived a, open quotation marks, gypsy lifestyle, close quotation marks, by being on the move and camping in primitive locations. At the end of the day, it is not against the law to be missing. It is not against the law to disappear. She broke things off with Peyton prior to this disappearance. Perhaps she wants to be left alone. You don't know, and we don't know. In spite of your family's insistent complaints and outright ugliness toward my employees, we're still working on trying to locate her. However, if my employees are subjected again to what they were yesterday, our assistance in locating Paige will cease, as we have no criminal obligation at this time to continue. I can assure you that we have already done a substantial amount more to find Paige than most any other agencies would have, given the circumstances, including your own Tennessee departments. Open parentheses, yes, we've spoken with them as well. Close parentheses. In closing, I say this: leave us alone and let us do our jobs. If our efforts continue to be hampered, and if we continue to be harassed while trying to work, there are Arkansas criminal statutes that apply, and they will be utilized. Whether you want to believe it or not, we are on your side and want to find Paige alive and well, just like you do. Being hypercritical is not going to help that get accomplished. To update you on the last couple of days, the dog crews that were with us were cadaver dogs trained to detect human remains. During their extensive search, the dogs did not hit or show interest in any way, both on land or water. I assure you that we will update you if we learn anything of substance. With kindest regards, I am Sheriff Brad Snyder. I said in my last video, I don't script any of these. I think that throws me off if I'm even on in the first place. So I'm going to do some jumping around. I'm going to address some of the things in the emails. I guess let's start with this. This email was sent to a mother desperately trying to find her missing daughter. Yet another example in the state of Arkansas of family members begging and pleading with a law enforcement agency to do more than they're doing because they know their family members well enough to know when something is out of the ordinary. So, sending this email to a mother who you say that you can understand your strong feelings for your daughter, the phrase is just wrong for a lot of reasons. I've been with the family since pretty much the beginning of the case. I worked in law enforcement prior to taking their case. This family started out thanking members of the Greene County Sheriff's Office for what, in my opinion, was substandard efforts in the first place. But in order to be polite and encourage them to continue to help, they were thanking them for the assistance that they were getting. They were not difficult to deal with. They were in no way hypercritical. They had absolutely reasonable questions as to the response or lack thereof in the search for Jessica Page Kemp. There was nothing out of line. There was also absolutely nothing criminal. So we'll address some of the things in the email. He quotes Gypsy Lifestyle and says that Page was known for, let me get it right. Give me just a second. I wouldn't want to misspeak on the good sheriff of Greene County. Let's see. Has a history of being out of contact with family for long periods of time. No. That's not what was told to the detectives at the Greene County Sheriff's Office. Maybe that's what his detectives told him, and maybe that's what he interpreted from his detectives. But long periods of time was never said. The gypsy-like lifestyle. By being on the move and camping in primitive locations. I think that a description of her daughter enjoying the outdoors and finding time to herself in this email was used against her. That's why he felt the need to put gypsy like in quotations. And while we're talking about that, what's the problem with being out of contact with your family for any period of time or living a gypsy like lifestyle? Because those aren't illegal either, just like disappearing or going missing. So, how are we citing those as reasons to not be properly investigating this case? And then also trying to cite things that aren't criminal as reasons to not be investigating this case. Here's my biggest issue with this entire email. And this one email pretty much sums up the case. When the Greene County Sheriff's Office repeatedly failed to do their jobs the right way, Sandy Kemp, Jessica Page Kemp's mother, started to have questions about their responses. She started to have questions about Brian Tillman's failure when he responded to the 911 call at Lake Ashball. She started to have questions about some of the statements that they had made to her, how they seemed inaccurate. She didn't ask these questions in any kind of unprofessional and certainly not illegal way. Her asking these questions of members of the Greene County Sheriff's Office, in particular, Sheriff Brad Snyder, was met with some of the most rude, unprofessional behavior I've ever seen in any career, especially in law enforcement. That behavior is absolutely what caused Miss Sandy Kemp and myself and many others to be hypercritical of the Greene County Sheriff's Office in their response to, or lack of response to, Jessica Page Kemp's case. Sheriff Snyder, you are an elected official. You're the sheriff of an Arkansas Sheriff's Department. And all of the people that are deputized under you are public servants. From somebody who's worked in that career extensively, as well as the public service career in EMS, you full well know that we are subjected to people being hypercritical, and we should encourage them to be hypercritical. We should own our mistakes and work to fix the problem, especially when the problem is something as simple as communicating with the family of a missing person and now the family of a deceased person. But you're not alone in your failure of communication. The Second Judicial Prosecuting Attorney's Office has been just as silent, although they've been reached out to as well. I said in my last video, I understand protecting the integrity of an investigation. That's when one is being done and being done properly. This idea in Arkansas that we're going to call everything under investigation so that we can sweep things under the rug is going to end. And it should end with Greene County and Jessica Page Kemp's case. The idea that a sitting sheriff is going to threaten to use Arkansas criminal code against a grieving mother searching desperately for her daughter when she did absolutely nothing criminal is deplorable, and you should be ashamed of yourself. By all means, use your training podcast to go over the statutes that you think apply. I assure you, I know the statutes as well as you do. And just because you decide to send an email or potentially tell people on Facebook that the way Miss Sandy Kemp or anyone in her family treated you was in any way obstructing governmental operations or harassment is absolutely ridiculous. You know as well as I do that that's the case. We still want to know if there is an active criminal investigation into Jessica Page Kemp's case. So maybe when you're not so busy running your re-election campaign, you can possibly reach out to this grieving mother in a professional manner that doesn't threaten her with the Arkansas Criminal Code maliciously and give her an update.